apologies.
The blue corner, fighting from Toronto, Mikhail.
Despite that false start, the atmosphere is really building here. Mikhail Miller has made his way out, and we await the arrival of Eric Moon for this super middleweight contest. Eric Moon has come into the ring, actually, as Miller now makes his way out. Well, our apologies, that was all back to front. But the key facts are, this is super middle, and it's Miller who is taking on Eric Moon, a man who's been out of action for a bit too long. He's quite talented, and as you will see close to camera now, the one and only all-time great Roy Jones is here with us tonight in the Cayman Islands, and Roy Jones has seen enough in Moon over the course of his long period of inactivity in terms of ring appearances to feel him worthy of being taken under his wing. And if Roy Jones says you've got a chance, you've got a chance, even if you've made a mess of a few chances over the last few years, the way Moon has.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the live in the Cayman Islands, the class in Cayman. We'd also like to welcome those watching from around the world via FightZone. Download the app today. It's the future of one-take boxing. Boxing is part by GTH Promotions and Fight Academy and sponsors Elite Marble and Granite. This fight is sanctioned by the Cayman Boxing Commission. Presiding over the match, we have our judges Gail Malone, Brendan Lyons, and Ed Pearson. This fight is 8 rounds in the Super Middleweight Contest. Fighting out of the red corner, wearing silver trunks and weighing in at 167 pounds. From Toronto, Canada, Mikhail Miller!
And talk about an unexpected chance in the spotlight for this man at the age of 37. It's been a very indifferent career, one way and the other. Donovan Boucher was double teaming tonight, incidentally, as a referee, and he's in the corner this time as well.
Part of the Roy Jones Jr. Fighting Club. Welcome to the
All kinds of interesting subplots here. Donovan Boucher was never frightened to fight out of his weight division if required. Of course, he would have taken on Roy Jones in a heartbeat if it had been given the chance, and Roy Jones never shirked anything. One of the all-time greats. So those two are the seconds. The principals are Eric Moon, with his face to us right now, and with his back to us, Mikhail Miller, who's travelled down to the Cayman Islands from Toronto. Moon out of Augusta, Georgia.
And can I just say that Eric Moon looks in phenomenal shape?
Well, he wants to be, because he struggled like anything to make the weight yesterday, Russell, and they gave him every possible exception. He took the guts of 2 hours, I understand, to get down to something like super middle. It's a non-title fight, so a pound here or there doesn't make much difference. But he had to work at it, so there's not much spare. We don't know how much he's actually put on since yesterday's weigh-in. Miller's the shorter man, certainly. And in terms of know-how and experience, Miller hopes to trade on that. But I remember 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, Eric Moon was considered a real hot property. That moment of opportunity in his life has now passed by. He's been on the rebuild, in all honesty. The wheels seemed to come off in the middle of 2019 when he was stopped by Edgar Berlanga at the MGM Grand on a major card. He lost on points to William Langston before that, and then a points defeat by Mike Guy of Atlanta in September of 2019. And then, of course, came the lockdown, so it was an enforced layoff, and I think it led to a great deal of introspection in the part of Moon and a lot of doubt.
Of course, he'll try to get back to his winning ways here tonight against Mikhail Miller.
Miller's got to find a way to keep working and prevent Moon from just setting himself in his own good time to create and take opportunities. And if you let Moon look a good fighter, he's going to look a good fighter. Only 2 stoppage defeats for Miller in the 8 losses from 12. He has lost the last 4 though, and I think he's thrilled with himself. Everything about him this week says he's thrilled with himself to be involved in a card like this. An opportunity to get back in the spotlight, maybe when he felt that his moment had been and gone. Hasn't tasted victory for 4 years now, Miller, and Moon has got to remind him about that by demonstrating his class tonight. Nice steady start from Moon. Russell, what do you think?
I agree with that 100%. Moon looking very patient in the first round, landing heavy blows, but I'll see how it plays out in the second.
Round 2 of a scheduled 8. Eric Moon, for all intents and purposes, the house fighter here against Mikhail Miller. It's really such a great opportunity for Moon tonight to relaunch his career. Sometimes that objective gets in the way of the process, and he's got to go through the process, I think, tonight, with making sure that the work is of sufficient quality and that the pressure is enough. That and a bit more would help in that respect, incidentally, but he doesn't continue with it, and the encouragement then for Miller is to set and come back. So he's looking really good in flashes here, Moon, but a little tentative. And the big question for me here, Russell, is forming: how much real, true self-confidence does Moon now have after all the setbacks? I can see he's still got the technical ability.
He certainly has the back end with obviously Roy Jones Jr. behind him, but you know, losing 3 times in a row does take a toll on the confidence, but he doesn't look like he's lacking any of that tonight.
The problem is, looks can be deceiving. Let's see if he can go through with it. Already a sense that Moon doesn't feel as though Miller can really give him anything to worry about in terms of power. But if he's going to just stand there, Miller is going to hit him. That's the best shot he's thrown tonight for me, in terms of the speed of it. That was really a quick right hand.
I think he should certainly keep that up, because that first round was a tough round to score, in my opinion. And this one is cut right down the middle. Both men having their moments, of course.
waiting a long time, isn't he, Moon, to see an opportunity he thinks he can exploit. It just doesn't quite happen naturally enough at the moment, and every time that Moon double thinks, Miller is encouraged to try to give Moon something to think about in turn. Moon looks quite pensive to me as he goes back to the corner there. It's almost like this is a schooling session very early in Moon's life as a pupil of the master Roy Jones. And it's quite meticulous and detailed, the information that he's getting. It's almost as though this is just a small step in the direction that they want to go tonight. So Roy won't be putting on the pressure on him for a stoppage win or to go through the gears. Of course, the man in the other corner, Donovan Boucher, has got an equal encyclopedic knowledge of boxing. If we didn't know it, emblazoned on the back of that tracksuit top that he's wearing. Canadian and Commonwealth champion, and very nearly a world champion, incidentally, in his own right. Welcome to the School of Boxing, Russell. Well, actually, correction, University of Boxing. So Moon is winning it. Moon is the classier fighter. Moon is the prospect, so-called, despite his advanced years, the talent, the home fighter, and the man who's expected to win. The how is as important as the what here. How he demonstrates his ability to his teacher in the corner, how he goes through the task tonight, how he expands upon the lessons which he's been learning under Roy Jones, and how he turns his career around as a result of all that. Miller is not doing anything stupid. He's not taking too many risks. That doesn't make him the ideal man for a showcase for Moon's talent. Moon has got to earn it here tonight. Miller's not going to make a mistake on what we've seen so far, which will just open the way for Moon to go out and get the job done in style. He's going to have to think through it.
And
Up
there's
and down.
no doubt Moon is searching for that big shot, and I think Miller has understood that very well over the last couple of rounds.
Again, it's been some good work in this round from Moon. Little flashes of class. But Miller trying to invite Moon to just make him an angle, to give him something. He's trying to remain in the zone here on FightZone, in the sense that he wants to make Moon believe it's still a contest. He wants Moon to understand that he, Miller, thinks he can still win this. A little bit of verbals from Miller. Miller ducked into it, but he was all right. Miller was away. And another round goes by where Miller has been comfortable and Moon has looked good in flashes. So heading into the middle rounds here in this 8-rounder at super middleweight from the Lion Center in Georgetown in the Cayman Islands. A couple of serious names in the corner on this auspicious night for boxing, amateur and professional, in the Cayman Islands. Roy Jones' pupil, Eric Moon, is well in front against Mikhail Miller, guided by Donovan Boucher. From the other side of the ring, the red corner, behind Miller's shoulder there. So many of these combinations look potentially extremely high quality from Moon, but they're not actually making much of a mark on Miller as this fight is going along. He's not getting a lot, Miller, by way of discouragement. He's still in there, still trying to go about his business, still trying to make Moon make a mistake that he can exploit. Although, to me at least, Russell, it would seem fanciful to suggest that Miller is going to be able to put Moon under pressure. The pressure on Moon seems to me to be from Moon himself.
And he's certainly letting Moon know in the ring that his shots aren't affecting him, or at least that's what he's trying to make him believe.
I wouldn't have called any of those shots to the head. Oh, well, Moon has just said it for me, actually. None of them were scoring punches. That's how confident Moon is that he has got the measure of Miller. The left hook uppercut. Ooh. Actually wasn't a bad shot there. Right uppercut's not a bad weapon either. But putting it all together in a sustained way is the issue. And he does tend to reach when he doesn't have to reach with that left. The jab. He throws it as a power jab when maybe just using it as the rangefinder first might be beneficial. I don't know. Maybe. Every so often the encouragement from the corner for Miller to keep on trucking, which he's doing in this fight. So we're through the halfway mark in it, over 8 rounds. Moon has been through the playbook. Miller's still in there. Roy Jones nearer to us is still looking for more. So into the second half of the fight, and perhaps the biggest question is, what now for Eric Moon? We've seen that once more tonight, he's a fighter of considerable poise and no mean technical ability, but putting it all into a show which is going to really take people's breath away is a different question.
Yeah, I feel like he's looking for that big counter shot, but I'm not sure if his patience... There you go. And another one by Moon. Perhaps the later rounds will prove better.
It's possible that is in his thought process somewhere, Russell, that he feels that Miller will start to fall apart at some point. I haven't seen signs of it, quite honestly. Just yet, anyway.
I agree.
So, over to you, Eric Moon. How are you going to address that? How are you going to turn a routine 8-round...
Oh, there's how he's going to address it.
Into a spectacular early conclusion. Or at least to have Miller really on the end of it in the second half of the fight. Once more in this round, flashes of Moon looking in a different league.
And you know, for someone who carries so much muscle like Moon, I'm quite impressed that, you know, his pace has not shifted. He's been the same from the opening round until this one, and I guarantee that his most of what he's wearing is muscle and not a lot of fat. And there he lands a big left hand on Miller.
I'll say one thing about that, whatever his problems actually on the scales yesterday, it's hard to envisage him going up to light heavyweight, at least at this stage in his career. This should be his division.
Stealing a page out of his mentor, Roy Jones Jr., with the moves there.
It's funny how it has that effect on people, Roy. You're quite right to mention it, actually, because any of the guys that I've witnessed over the last few years go to train under Roy Jones in his unique environment. To me, they always show the traits of it when they come out of it 6 months later. But it's a question of levels, and winning at this level is not Roy Jones territory. Let's be very clear about that. Round 5 is like round 4. Let's see what round 6 brings us. Again, the possibility that Miller will feel now, I have seen the best that Eric Moon is going to produce tonight, and I feel pretty confident that I'm going to get through it. What we haven't seen from Moon tonight is any semblance of a gear change as these rounds are going on.
Couldn't agree with you more. He's not being outboxed by any means, but he isn't showing that urgency, and as I said that, he turns it on.
Yes, but it's the what happens next, Russell, in this fight, isn't it? That's the problem, really. Moon knows there's little or nothing of any consequence coming back the other way from Miller. I think Miller is winning 1 or 2 over in the crowd with his endeavour and his willingness to keep on, trying to keep Eric Moon busy. top of Moon's left shoulder there wasn't far away from Miller. That was a near thing for Moon. Tries the same shot again. At his own level, he is quite a smart operator, Miller. Particularly for a man who's only won 3 times in his pro career. Done a lot better tonight than in his last outing against Brett Brown when he was stopped in the 3rd round in Halifax, Nova Scotia. Miller out and away, just as Moon tried to turn it up in the last few seconds of the round. So there are a couple of rounds left of this 8-rounder. Mikhail Miller secretly, I think, might be feeling quite pleased with himself to be still in his comfort zone here on FightZone Live. Eric Moon is all over the winner already, but it's a question of how he wins tonight rather than if he wins. Nobody is suggesting he has to stop Miller, but if this is to be seen as a step in the right direction by Moon, he has to win with great authority rather than on the basis of occasional moments of real quality work.
Couldn't agree more. And, you know, coming off of a split decision loss, you would think that, you know, he would put a little bit more on the gas, and you know, Miller isn't fazed by Moon at all.
And let's remember as well, Russell, in the early days when he was really considered a prospect, Moon actually stopped quickly 4 of his first 7 victims. That edge seems to have gone at the moment.
Yeah.
Of course, graded steps into higher quality mean that it gets harder because you're fighting against better men. But he was going along nicely, and coping with the defeat is something that nearly every fighter has to cope with at every level, and that seemed to be the moment when the flashes of overconfidence disappeared. Miller would just like Mr. Moon to know that he's seen that show before. So again, we move on to a section in this fight called What Next? Does Moon just retire gracefully and allow Miller this? Or does Moon now say, right, that is me, into a higher gear to show that I'm a much better all-round operator? Like that. Miller said I read it, but he didn't. It was good work by Moon. Slip like that by Moon when he was off balance, all because he tried to complicate it. Against a higher grade opponent, that means real trouble. He got away with it tonight. Miller's asking him to do exactly again, because Miller spotted that as well, but he actually lost the run of himself there, Moon. Now he's back to what he does well, but the bell intervenes. So the 8th of 8, this showcase tonight for Eric Moon, under the tutelage now of the all-time great Roy Jones. But he's got to hope that there's still, disregarding the opportunity to make a mark in history books, let's not put him in that frame, but at least for Moon to show that he has got a future in professional boxing at a reasonable level. This is the first of the graded steps in that direction. In fairness, what we must all remember, 24th of July 2021, points 8-round win over William Langston in Atlanta. Out of the ring since. We're looking tonight for some little signs after the stop-start career of the last few years that they have been able to get under the bonnet with this kid and fix some of the issues, in the hope that they can really get the motor running fast again. There are one or two good signs. Miller knows how to look that he's still in the fight, Russell. And there's a skill to doing that. It means you're going to get work and get paid. He's no fool, you're quite right. Over to you, Donovan Balcher, to fix the tape by whatever means you choose. That's nice by Moon. Down and up. Very cosmopolitan crowd here at the Lion Centre in Georgetown, Russell. A lot of Canadians and a lot of connections to Canada here, I understand. And actually, behind us, there's quite a few Canadian supporters, very much still on Miller's side in this fight. It's true that there's quite a substantial presence here, I understand. And of course, to say nothing of the amount of Filipino action and involvement in life in the Cayman Islands these days. And we go right to the end. The referee, I think, needed another reminder that the bell had actually gone there a little bit after the fact. Nobody's fault, these things happen. No need for any protest about that. Moon didn't know, you're quite right. There was a big roar from the crowd at that precise moment. No harm done. Nice exchange between the two old star men, Boucher and Roy Jones. Their two respective fighters have put in the work over the 8 rounds.
Judge Brendan Lyons has scored it 77-75. In favor of the red corner, Mikhail Miller. Judge Dale Ramon has scored it 78-74. In favor of the blue corner, Eric Moon. Judge Ed Pearson has scored it 76-76. It is a split draw, ladies and gentlemen.
There was a very lengthy delay indeed as the cards were collated there. We will never be able to explain the mystery of all of that to you, but we have come out somehow with a split draw. If there is a word for it, maybe mystifying would do. No real harm done to anybody's career with that, but Miller's celebrating like it's the biggest night of his career, and I can understand why he's pleased with the result that he's got there. Moon is completely mystified also, and we hope to get a word with him, and indeed with Roy Jones, in a moment or two. We're going to try and get a word with Eric and with Roy, of course, who has had so many admirers and friends. Come on, chaps. Come on, Roy. Let's get a word with Eric as well, shall we? Eric, come down and join us here. Thank you, Roy. So we're live on FightZone, everybody. Come on, Eric. Join us here live on FightZone. And, of course, the one and only Roy Jones, who's a big part of this new push for boxing in the Cayman Islands. If I may start with your fighter tonight, Roy, if you permit me. I'm mystified by that. What do you make of that decision?
It's boxing. I thought I did enough, especially closing out, to show that I was the aggressor to close the show, and I thought that it was mine. I don't believe that it was a draw, but I definitely want to run it back and fight him, and I know I'll knock him out the next time we fight. For sure, 100%.
Roy, I'm not sure how important in the bigger scheme of things the result of that particular contest will be to you, but as a winner all your life, what have you got to say about that decision first, please?
Well, I mean, he left it in the judge's hands, so whatever the judge do is what it is. You know, I thought he was smart enough to come out and outbox the guy, get the guy out of there, but you know, he didn't do that. He went out trying to hit him hard, so we got to deal with whatever the judges say at that point. You feel me?
Okay, I do, and I'll come back to you in a moment, Roy. Thank you very much indeed. So, Eric, back to you. I don't see this as much of a stumbling block. I tried to set this up for our viewers on FightZone tonight in terms of your career by saying that this is a new chapter, a restart in your career. So even though you have not got the result tonight, how is it going under the tutelage of one of the all-time greats?
It's going great because he's teaching me how to be more scientific versus fighting with my emotion. And I appreciate that. And it's not doing nothing but just making me a better fighter and making me think more and not rely so much on my punching power. More so on numbers, which I failed to do tonight. But we're going to go back to the drawing board. We're back in the gym. We're going to get it the next time.
Okay, you know, as Roy would testify, I know, you know, you haven't had a defeat, but you learn the most from your defeats. And in life, we all learn a lot from our setbacks. And that appears to be your take on this tonight, as wise as you are, Roy. But just one more question for you, Eric. Also looking at you, I remember you when you came on the scene, 2017, 2018, you were what they call a prospect. Tell us in your own words what happened.
Almost a 2-year layoff. But that's still not an excuse. I'm just glad and thankful to be here, to be able to fight, have Roy Jones Jr. as my mentor, teacher, and coach. And I'm just appreciative of Dennis allowing me to be able to fight on this show. But this is not the last fight. I'm going to continue to just get better. It's just knocking the rust off. So a draw is okay, but I'm not content with that.
Let's be very clear. You have considerable ability and always have had, and I think Roy would not have taken you, Eric, under his wing had he not seen it like that. Roy, in the bigger scheme of things, you know, you are a man of so many parts, your amazing ability as a fighter to the foremost, but I likened you in our broadcast tonight to a bit of a car mechanic. I don't know how big you are on car mechanics, but I suggested to our viewers on FightZone, you've had to get under the bonnet with this kid and have a look at the engine and maybe take it apart before you can rebuild it. So how is the rebuild going with Eric Moon?
The rebuild is going good. I kind of figured that we run into what we ran into tonight because this is his first time back in 2 years. So I knew his old habits would come back because that's what guys do at first. But now that he sees that that's not going to prosper, that's not going to be the way to go, hopefully it convinces him now to change, start listening, and try to take that new way that I've been trying to teach him and put it into effect. You understand? Because if we keep doing what we did in the old days, we're going to get the old results. We got to do new things, start to get new results. If we don't believe in it, then there's no sense in us being there doing it. I know he believe in it because I've seen it work for him in the gym before. So now you just got to learn how to transform it from the gym to the boxing ring.
And are you comfortable that, you know, the perception of the results is going to give people a judgment which may be false? Because to me tonight he won that fight with plenty in hand, even if it was stop-start. But are you saying that you cannot allow the results to get in the way of the bigger picture with this kid?
No, you can't. You can't let the results get in the way. And like I said, I'm just happy you got a draw because they could have easily, if it being another person's home area, they can give it to that person sometimes. So, and being the guy looks a little bit smaller than Eric, so the people gonna cheer for the smaller guy. You know what I mean? And you got to know that. So I understand. I thought Eric jumped out and grabbed a good substantial lead, and I didn't think it was a draw either. I thought Eric won the first 3 or 4 rounds, maybe 5, and I thought the last round he probably pulled off. So I had him win about 1 round, but I don't like that because I don't want it to be a question. I want it to be sincere. I come from a place where in the Seoul Olympics, I had a sincere victory, and they still robbed me. So if you're going to go out there and do it precisely, so they can't, decisively, so that they can't rob you. You understand?
Well, they'll be the most enormous think about it forever, which is what happened then.
Of course, but you got to go out and show everybody that you're the boss and you dominate. If you don't do that, then whatever happens to you, you got to accept it.
Just lastly, Roy, and thank you for joining us. We've so much enjoyed your company, and you've worked alongside Dennis Hobson in pulling this whole promotion together. It's brilliant to see you so involved in the game and imparting all your incredible knowledge. How have you enjoyed this Cayman Island experience this week?
I have really thoroughly enjoyed this Cayman Island experience. Being here with Dennis again is like a dream come true to me because with me, you plant seeds everywhere you go, and sometime one of them seeds are gonna grow. And when I met Dennis way back when I met him, I planted a great seed with Dennis and he planted a great one with me. And now that seed has started to mature and grow again. You never know what's gonna catch. That seed caught, and look what me and Dennis are today. We're down here in the Grand Cayman Islands, where it's a beautiful island, beautiful people that love boxing and want boxing. He's willing to bring his expertise. I'm willing to bring my skill, my talent, my fighters, my expertise, put us together, and we're gonna create a champion from right here in the Grand Cayman Islands.
You've been brilliant to be around, as always, Roy, this week. Thank you very much indeed, and it's all live on FightZone, as you've just touched upon there. Hopefully a great future ahead for Dennis's project on FightZone. And if I can just add one more final word, everybody, while we have the great man here with us. We can do a lot of magic on FightZone in the years ahead. What we cannot do, unfortunately, is create the fight that over dinner, Roy and I decided was one of the 5 greatest fights in the history of boxing that never happened, between the immortal Marvin Hagler and the immortal Roy Jones. But we enjoyed talking about it, didn't we?
And it would have been a great fight because Marvin Hagler actually beat my dad, so it would be revenge, revenge, revenge. But I also want to say a shout out to my man Archie Sharp. He got a win tonight on FightZone before this fight in the UK, so that was brilliant. Great job, Archie. Look forward to the work, brother.
Terrific, Roy, as always. Thank you very much indeed, and indeed well done to Archie Sharp, and well done to you, Eric. What we want to see, as you've already said, back to work on Monday. Don't end up being a Monday morning fighter. Be a Saturday night fighter, okay, kid?
100%. I thank you guys. I thank Cayman Island and the wonderful people of Cayman for having me out here.
Good lad.